Okay, so to start things off, this is what I woke up to.
Wow, all this was going on when I was with my ex. She's gonna find out I cheated.
Nothing has to.
Oh no, I want this to come out.
It's all in the past.
It's all in the past.
I kind of feel like he started a story and didn't finish it. So I'm going to, and this is gonna be long. So it all started with this guy named Kill Zero. He's another artist. We all made music and hung out there, and he was like, yo, you need to meet this guy, like, you guys are gonna get along, like, you guys are just gonna click, just trust me, you have to meet him, okay? And so I listened, we met, within 2 weeks we were dating, we were in love, whatever, things were going great, so I thought. Yesterday I found out he was talking to some other girl the whole time, like back when I thought that we were still good, right? Before the fighting, before all of that stuff. And so his excuse for cheating on me is that I treated him bad and that I said mean things to him, which I'll get into later on. But basically, I'm debunking that excuse, so now he's left with no excuses at all except the fact that he's an asshole. And besides the fact that he was, I'd call it maybe emotionally cheating because it was through like text, DMs, whatever, it wasn't like in person. He was talking shit about me. He was telling people that I was some crazy girl and that I was Jesse's ex-girlfriend, which never happened. You can ask anyone in Members Only. I never dated him. Problems really started when the label wanted to name his album Fuck You Bella, and that's his ex-girlfriend, the one that the Lucid Dream song is about. Like, that song was written back when he was a senior in high school. And so, I asked him about her. I was like, who is this girl? Like, what happened? I want to know the backstory. I was curious. He told me she's some 17-year-old girl that they dated for a couple years, and I understood. I was like, okay, I've had a couple relationships that were over a year long. Like, shit hurts, I get it. So me and her followed each other on Twitter. Then she messaged me, and Jared told me that she started these rumors that he raped her. So I asked her because she was trying to get in contact with him, and I was like, why are you trying to get in contact with somebody that you said raped you? And then this is what she sent me. So yeah, I did tell him that I hated him. I told him that I thought he was a bad person, because I don't stand behind these 18, 19, 20-year-old men fucking on 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls. That's crazy. Like, there's such a big, difference, in your head with maturity, with your innocence level, with things that you're exposed to. And, in my opinion, that's just really fucked up, and I don't stand behind that at all. I was already dating him at this point. We were months into a relationship, and I was freaking out because I was like, okay, do I not even know my boyfriend? Who is this guy? Do I not know you at all? Because he was lying. He tried to tell me that she was lying, but I was like, bro, no, because I went through her Twitter, I went through her pictures, I started, girl mode, I started stalking shit, and I seen pictures of them together. They were still there, they're still on her Twitter. That's all he does is lie. He lies to me, he lies to you guys, he lies to his mom, he lies to everybody. He was crying, he was bawling his eyes out, he was throwing up, he begged me to learn to forgive him. He begged me not to leave. So I said okay, and that I'd stay, because I loved him, But then, a couple weeks later, I still didn't trust him, because things just seemed sus. He just seemed sketchy at this point. I didn't trust him. And so he started making songs about how I couldn't learn to forgive him. He was trying to flip the script, turn the tables, make it my fault, right? That's manipulative as fuck. That's another red flag that I didn't pick up on. Over time, he had me drop out of school. He told me he was gonna help me with all this shit, no bum shit. I still have the fucking screenshot. He was very controlling. He wanted me there with him constantly. Every show, every flight, every meeting, every car ride, every studio session, everything. Over time, he also had me give up my apartment because he said we were gonna get a house together. We didn't. That was another lie. We were literally homeless, living out of a suitcase for 6 months, and that was terrible because I needed an address. I have BPD. I have borderline personality disorder. It's kind of like bipolar, like depression, and the lifestyle we were living was making me very sick. Like I needed medication or therapy because like it was giving me anxiety and it was making me very depressed. And since I wasn't working or in school or had a home, it made me feel worthless, and it made me feel like I was living off of somebody else's, and that is not what I wanted to do. I'm a very independent person, and I wanted to be put into a position where I could make my own money and do my own thing, and that's just like not what was going on at all. After a while, I started to not really care because he started giving me these drugs that I never did before that I ended up addicted to. And so I was just high, you know, all the time, not really giving a fuck, just kind of like floating along. But to be honest, deep down, I was like really depressed and I really needed help. And I told him this, like I started literally having suicidal thoughts, and I told him this, like I was scared of what was going on in my head. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't care. I also didn't have a job. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not, but I didn't have a job. Jared made me quit. I was following him everywhere. But then he was using my money still. And it's like, why are you comfortable spending my money when I don't have a source of income? Like, he didn't have a debit card, he didn't have a phone, he didn't have a car, he didn't have a house, he didn't have shit. So I would have to put my debit card down at the hotels, right? And then I would check my card, and all of a sudden it'd be -500, -500, -500, -500. And there were smoking fees from the hotel. I told him, I sent him screenshots, I told Bibby, I told these people, and they didn't do anything. He still has not paid me back to this day. In a total, he owes me probably about $10,000. Like right before we broke up, he made me leave all of my clothes at his mom's house because he said that he'd buy me new ones. Guess what? Another lie. He didn't. I ended up having to spend some of my own money to pay for that shit. Like, I wasn't even using him for money. I was very comfortable bringing a suitcase to LA and having my own clothes here. But he was like, no, don't bring a suitcase. Like, I'll buy this shit for you. Like, don't bring it. Like, that way we can get through the airport faster, whatever. So, and I didn't want to argue. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll leave it. Cool. At this point, we were already fighting all the time. Shit was bad. But then guess what? It got worse. We started getting physical with each other. And it was both ways, I admit it, and it opened up the door to something that could have potentially been very scary. I would like to make it clear right now that he never beat me, he never put a fist to my body, but he has definitely picked me off the ground, slamming me into the wall and squeezing me so tight that I had bruises all over my arms, little fingerprints. He's shoved me into a bathtub where I hit my head on the wall. When we were fighting on the tour bus, it was to the point that his friends had to pull him off of me, and I ended up with a bruise and cuts on my leg that were so bad that I had a scar on my leg for months. That bruise was there, honestly, for probably 4 weeks. I remember at the VMAs, his manager came up to me and he was like, what happened to you? And I was like, fuck, I didn't even notice. I was so used to it at this point. So I put makeup all over it. Honestly, I shouldn't have even gone. Fast forward to when we actually broke up. I broke up with him twice. The last time I did, he ran out and got a tattoo for me on his neck. I'm pretty sure there's a video of it. He was with Trippy in the studio, it might be on YouTube or something. And then we were physically fighting, and he just started crying, holding on to me, and I promised him, I was like, babe, I'll be right here, because he was gonna go to a show, and I was staying back to get my hair done, and I was like, I'll be right here when you get back, I promise. He made me wait in LA for 2 weeks, telling me he was coming back, and he never came back. I was literally left with nothing. I was jobless, I was homeless, I had no clothes, I had no money, I had nothing. He broke up with me through a text and never called once. To this day, he has never called me. Ever. All of this happened 3 months ago, and that's the thing. I do not want to make this video. If I did, I would have done it when it happened. I'm doing this because that video came out of where he admitted to cheating on me and laughing. He's constantly disrespecting me. Listen to the songs that he has about me. The one that he showed yesterday. Those songs are not new. He made that as soon as we broke up. Do you know how much that hurt? And before the accusations start, no, I did not cheat on him. And no, this is not a clout thing. This is my real life, and there is actual proof, provided in this video. Something that's kind of important that I need you guys to understand is that I was with him before the fame, before he was signed, before the money, before he lived in LA. I was with him before all of that. I loved him for him, and honestly, shit was just toxic, shit was ugly. I still care about him, what? And why? Why should I? Why do I? I don't know. Like, he's literally, like, publicly making fun of cheating on me. But, I don't know. I, like, literally had to make this video today instead of yesterday because yesterday my eyes were so puffy from crying all day. The end.